Jocelyn Barbara Hepworth was born in January 10, 1903, in Wakefield, Yorkshire. She is the eldest child of Herbert and Gertrude Hepworth. Her father was a civil engineer for West Riding County Council, who in 1921 became the county surveyor. As a girl, Hepworth accompanies him on car journeys, and he makes him all over the West Riding of Yorkshire in the course of his work. After attending in Wakefield Girls High School, she won a scholarship to study at Leeds School of Art in 1920. Hepworth went to study sculpture at the Royal College of Art in London, where she took occasional trips to Paris. Having graduated with diploma in 1923, Hepworth stayed an extra year in order to compete in Rome. She was awarded a West Riding Scholarship in 1924, which allowed her to spend another year traveling abroad. She spent several months in Florence, Italy, where she studied architecture and early Italian art. She also traveled Rome and Siena. In November 1926, she returned to London due to her husband John Skipping's health. Hepworth began to exhibit her work at her own studio before being invited to show at some smaller galleries in London. Marking her the start of her art career, in 1931, she met the abstract painter Ben Nicholson and began a relationship with him. Hepworth and her husband got separated the same year. The breakdown of their marriage and the start of Hepworth and Nicholson's relationship. She and Nicholson shared the studio where they worked collaboratively, frequently drawing and photographing each other's artwork. Hepworth said that their relationship as a painter and a sculptor was each other's best critic. Nicholson's painting was characterized by deep devotion of abstraction, and she was strongly influenced by it. During this period, her work was increasingly skewed to traditional forms. By the mid of 1930s, she moved away from human figuratively based abstraction until she was creating sculptures that were wholly abstract. One of her best artwork is Pierced Form, or Pelagos, or it means sea in Greek. It was made in 1932 and was inspired by the view of the bay in Cornwall, where two arms of the land enfolded to the sea on the either side. The hollowed out wood has spiral formation resembling to a shell, a wave, or a roll of a hill. Hepworth wanted to taut a string to express the tension I felt between myself and the sea to the wind on the hills. She moved to Cornwall with her husband Ben Nicholson in 1939 and produced the same of her finest sculpture in its wild landscapes. Mother and Child. She made this sculpture in 1934 in her studio at the Mall Parkhill Road in Hampstead, London. She and the British artist Henry Moore used a Cumberland alabaster in the artwork during the period of 1930 to 1934. Mother and Child was produced using a sculptural practice known as direct carving. It is a process which no model or sculptural maquettes are used to plan the work, but rather the final form of the sculpture emerged through the act of carving the material. This may reflect the changes that were occurring in Hepworth's own life at that time. In 1929, she gave birth to her first son, Paul Skipping, and in 1934, the same year, the artwork was made. Corinthos, named after the ancient Greek city, was made on Hepworth's return in 1954. She felt that it summarized her recent experience of the light and landscape of Greece, as well as the ancient art and architecture. It was carved from a single piece of gera, a tropical hardwood. She tunneled through the wood in a double spiral shape. Then she painted the interior white to provide a sensuous contrast to the polished brown surface of the exterior. significance as an artist. Barbara Hepworth distinguished herself as a world-recognized sculptor in a period where female artists were rare. She was the key figure among modern sculptors in responding to a physical characteristics of whichever materials was chosen to work with, in order to resolve appropriate forms for the finished works, rather than simply material to fit some predetermined shapes.